Hi Santanu,
Hi, Saurav.
how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine and hope you're also doing fine.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. So, today we have Santanu Majumder with us. So, now let me tell you a little bit about Santanu. I will just tell just one sentence. There are not very few people who I am jealous of for traveling because I myself travel so much. But Santanu is one guy who kind of defeats me a lot of time because he is on the go most of the time. And having retired from the Air Force, he has been traveling quite a lot. And thanks to COVID, he's at home, but otherwise, most of the time he's exploring different places and traveling. So let's welcome Shantanu. So Shantanu, please tell us a little bit about your journey as a photographer so far.
yeah. Hi, Saurav. Nice introduction. And you said thanks to COVID, but no thanks at all.
No thanks.
Yeah, because I'm stuck at home for last 3 months almost, not being able to go out, not being able to exercise my camera enough.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. As far as my background goes, as Saurav mentioned, I am a retired Air Force officer. I quit Air Force in 2017, and since then I have not picked up a job deliberately because I thought, let me, apart from taking care of my family, do pursue my passion, which at one point of time I actually seriously thought of getting into this sort of a stream rather than taking up a job. But so I have been sort of delving into photography since last 3 years seriously. Prior to that, of course, like everybody else, I started photography with a Kodak Chroma sometime back in the 90s or maybe even 80s. I don't remember exactly now. And subsequently, I think in 2004, I got my first DSLR. That was the D70, which was then just about released in India, but then I got the body from US, and the lenses I bought in yeah, and I've been clicking on and off. But then because of my job and because of the involvement that yeah, and constantly we are on the move, every 2 3 years we keep on moving, so it was difficult to pursue it very seriously. But subsequently, since 2017, I have been actually seriously pursuing this passion, and having tried various genres, I do did understand that I have a preference for astro, landscape with a little, sort of a emphasis on long exposure photography. And of course, bird photography is something that I actually started off with. And so I do every now and then do bird photography as well. And let me also, put this on record that Saurav has played a great role in actually, helping me out in through various tips and tricks during my photography journey. And I have done quite a few trips with him, and they have all been learning and enriching experience.
Thank you for the mention, Shantanu. Thank you. So I can't wait to go to your pictures and let's talk about them. And in between, I will ask you a few questions. And guys, if you have any questions that you want to ask to Shantanu, please type in the comment box. So after we finish the pictures, then we'll take the questions. Okay. So shall we get started, Shantanu?
Yeah, sure. So,
All right. Yeah. So please tell us a little bit about this picture, how you took it.
okay, this was this particular picture image of the Milky Way was clicked at Chitkul village in Himachal Pradesh. In fact, I had gone along with Saurav himself, and we had traveled the whole day and reached Chitkul at around 7, I think, in the evening. And then we quickly went to our rooms, changed over, and ran to this particular place. And let me tell you, this is the only shot I got that day, because immediately after these, the clouds rolled in and everything was covered in clouds. And fortunately, just before the clouds did sort of cover everything, I managed to click this particular image. And this was just about, what, 100 meters from the place that we stayed in.
Right. Right.
Chitkul is, it's a lovely place and extremely good both for landscape photography as well as night sky photography. This, of course, since it was clicked in August, the core of the Milky Way is not visible. It was already below the horizon or behind these mountains by the time we got there and started clicking.
Right.
And
So,
I remember, Saurav, if you remember, we clicked
yes.
the photograph and we went back to the hotel. And then there was a group of fellow travelers from
Yes.
Bengal who got hold of us and said, "What were you doing?" So we said, "We were shooting." You showed your image. And they said, "Oh, Akash Ganga, if you remember
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
that thing."
Right, right. Yeah. So, guys, let me tell you, Shantanu has got such a strong hold in astro and star trails photography. So, he has actually authored a book recently. So, if you want to grab a copy of the book, you can you can send him a message. He'll be happy to share it with you. His coordinates are mentioned in the description, so you can see his Instagram and Facebook links. It's quite a very nice book. He kindly shared a copy with me as well. So it's a great thing if you want to learn star trails and astrophotography. Great. So Shantanu, did you have any formal training in photography?
Not really. No. In fact, I learned through, primarily, I will say, by reading books and YouTube. On the net, there's the vast amount of information available today, along with everything. Do it yourself. In fact, I remember the first time I had gone to click image of a Milky Way was way back, I think, in 2017 when I traveled back to Maharashtra, a place called Chalkewadi, and I had not I had just read about how to click Milky Way images in books and seen in YouTube, and went there. Nobody was there, all alone, and I clicked my first image. I could really see the Milky Way with my naked eyes. I could see it in the camera, but when I put it on the screen, perhaps the image wasn't as impressive as I wanted it to be. And then I read further and I understood how to process Milky Ways, and I watched videos, and that is how slowly I learned things to go by. And then, of course, there have been friends like Saurav, and there are a couple of more people who have helped me out in learning the tricks of the trade. So no formal training per se. Whatever I have learned has been through peers and by self learning.
Great. Great.
No,
Yeah.
this is an image of river Vltava in Prague. This was, I think, clicked in October 2018. And this is a long exposure image I had used an ND10, that is a 10 stop ND filter. And this was sometime in the middle of the day. And it's a beautiful place, and with the fall colors and everything, it was a lovely setup. And I remember I had used a Tamron 1530 lens, which I had taken from borrowed from Saurav to go and click this particular thing. Of course, I had the Nisi filter kit, with the filter holder for the wide angle and everything. And this is a lovely place to
Right.
click.
So Shantanu, please tell us about how you found this place. So did you find it on the Google map, or you had somebody to help you find the right location?
Okay, no. What I did was, before I reached Prague, I had contacted a guy called Martin Bissoff over there. He's owner of a photo tour company called Inscape Photo Tours, and he conducts photo tours in Czech Republic as well as all over the world. This thing. So I had contacted him, and I said, because I said I wouldn't know the places where to go to click good photographs. So if you can take me for an afternoon and show me the places, and then subsequently I can keep exploring these places. So it was courtesy him that I could go to this. In fact, However, this particular bridge that you see in front is the famous Charles Bridge in Prague.
Right.
So
Right.
this again is a famous landmark. So the bridge itself is not new, but this particular vantage point from which I took this photograph was courtesy Martin Bissoff. Through, I mean, courtesy him, I could locate this place, and from there I could shoot this photograph.
Right. So that's a great trip. So tip that before you go to any place, unknown place, and you don't want to waste time searching for location, you can just contact somebody who has a very good idea about the place, and just go with him. So you already know your photography. You just have to go to the right place at the right location. Right, Santanu?
Yeah.
Great. Beautiful.
Okay, this is at a place called Bandardara. In fact, we hadn't gone there to click, night sky per se, like no star trails or Milky Way. We had gone there primarily for the fireflies. In fact, you can see a certain green streaks in the air. They are actually the trails created by the fireflies. Now, this firefly is actually just pre-monsoon is the period when is their mating period, and this particular place is known for its fireflies, and in fact they do conduct a firefly festival as well. So we had gone basically to click these fireflies. However, we had plenty of time before the fireflies, we knew, I mean, before they would become active. So this is an interim place where, near Bandadara, there's a place called Ghadgar, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a lake, and this is just about an hour's shoot for at around 8 in the evening. I mean, it's a reasonably dark place. So, and being in the Western Ghats, it's not, this particular area is not too crowded, not too light polluted. So we could manage even in about an hour's shoot, a pretty decent particular shot. I think this is actually an image which is a stack of about 75 to 80 images, if I'm not mistaken, and
Wow.
Photoshop and Lightroom. So, and the foreground, of course, I do carry a light along with me wherever I go, additional lights, LED of varying intensity. So depending on, the foreground ambient light available, I do use those lights to light up the foreground sometimes. So there was a sort of a diffused lighting that I gave to light up the base of this tree in the foreground area. And background are the but if you see, there are lights in the middle of the this thing. These are
Right.
basically some campers who had camped on the other side of the lake. So
Okay.
those were their lights which were
Okay.
but then ultimately they went so bad, so I kept them. Otherwise, perhaps I might have removed those particular thing in post processing.
Great. So, Santanu, what kind of preparation would you do when you're going to a place like this?
Okay, I do. I mean, do definitely look up that place in terms of, the first thing I do is I always, wherever, even if it is for a daytime landscape, if I'm traveling for overnight stay over there, I definitely look up the dark zone of that area. There are scales that grade the dark skies over there. So I generally see the bottle scale or some other site which gives me an idea as to how loud, light polluted or less light polluted that particular area is. Then of course I use Google Earth, or I also use an app called the Photo Pills to get an exact orientation of the place, so that I know, which direction perhaps would give me a good shoot, good opportunity, good frame. So having done that, basically before I land up to that particular area, I know, okay, I am going to shoot in the northern direction. Like this is pointing north, camera pointing north. That is why the north pole, you see the concentric circles. And before I reach a particular area, I already know which direction I'm going to shoot from, towards which direction I'm going to shoot, and what will be the orientation of the trails in the sky. In addition, what could be the foreground elements that I will be getting. And so I have a fair idea of what sort of frames I'm looking for by the time I reach that place. And then, of course, I do reach a little in advance so that I can do a recce and decide on, okay, exactly which is the frame that I'm going to finally shoot. So
Right.
that is about, but yeah, I do a lot of research. I mean, definitely a week's research goes before I go to a particular place. And of course, I also keep looking for photographs of that area. So that gives me an idea as to what sort of photographs could be clicked in that particular area, or
Right.
for that matter, an event as well.
Right. Beautiful.
This is again Bandadara itself. And, surprisingly, the weather forecast was that it was going to rain and it was going to
Okay.
be cloudy. But as you can see, there's not one, even the slightest amount of cloud in the sky. So we're lucky to get this particular thing shot. In fact, there were quite a few Milky Way images, with fireflies in the trees and cars passing by, all those sorts of things. We managed to shoot apart from the fireflies themselves. So actually, it was in fact we were awake the whole night this particular day, and then of course I found this beautiful tree in front in the foreground, and that sort of adds to that whole frame basically. And like this is again Western Ghats, and perhaps this is one of the best places in the south of the Vindhyas to get dark skies, that is Milky Ways or star trails. Otherwise, anywhere near the cities, of course, you cannot get the Milky Way. You can get star trails maybe, but you cannot get Milky Way. So the
Right.
Western Ghats, of course, like places like Bhandadara are that way, dream for anybody who cannot go travel to the Himalayas off and on.
Right. So, guys, if you want to shoot the Milky Way and you can't go all the way to the Himalayas, so Shantanu is suggesting Bhandardara and places nearby where you can go and see the Milky Way and shoot it as well. Right. Great.
This again is Bhandadara. This is right opposite the camp site that we had stayed in. And so that's about it. There are plenty of, you can see there's plenty of light in the foreground from the
Right.
camp, from the shops over there. So I did not need to light them up. And
Right.
there is a red light also. There is some reddish sort of a thing
Mm.
where I think that light was from a passing vehicle.
Right.
So foreground was no problem. Milky Way, of course.
So, Shantanu, please tell us a little bit about how you compose a Milky Way shot.
Okay, Milky Way, see the shot would depend, how I compose would depend on the foreground. As I said, ki if I get a fair enough idea as to, like the book I wrote, the ebook that I wrote on, Star Trails, I wrote that, as I said, I do a bit of research, so I have a fair idea as to what would be in the foreground. But in a place like Bhandardhara, you cannot really know where is the exact location of the trees for that matter, or this hill would be in which direction. So
Right.
that becomes a little difficult. So then you go there and look around, and then select a site, knowing that, of course, that the direction of the Milky Way, in which direction it's going to rise. Like this was again sometime in August, so Milky Way is pretty high up in the sky. Otherwise, early part of the season, maybe March, February, end February, March, April, the Way would be a more semicircular thing. So then I would perhaps try and look for a single element that would, around which the Milky Way could form its arch. But as we go later into the season, the Milky Way becomes more or less, it becomes vertical. So then you have to see foreground what could perhaps sort of complement the Milky Way, because ultimately if you see the entire sky is blank except for that Milky Way right in the center of the frame. So
Right.
perhaps then I sort of think what could actually balance the frame if I shoot it in a particular manner, and then depending on the foreground elements available, I compose it in that particular thing. Of course, to add to that, I would say that there are places like, say, when we went to Langza, I didn't have to think about composing that shot because I knew that I wanted to shoot the Milky Way along with the Langza Buddha. So
Right.
that I already knew. So I just went and planted my camera and took a shot. But
Right.
in a place like Bandadara, again, I hadn't been to that place earlier, and there's not much, in terms of known landmarks over there. So then you have to go do a recce and think
Right.
of how the Milky Way, the sky will complement the foreground, and then compose your shot.
Right. Right. Wow. Where was this?
Okay, this is again Prague. This is a small building in Prague, and there's a staircase of that particular building. And
Mhm.
again, it's courtesy Martin Bissoff that I could go to this particular place. And he showed me, see, there's an interesting staircase. So I said, okay, wow, it looks like a light bulb. So I said, okay, let me click this particular image, and and there it is. It's a lovely this thing.
Beautiful. Very nice. Two
Okay.
interesting bird in one frame.
Yeah, this is Satal. This is focus act because the focal planes were different for both the male. This is male and female of chestnut bellied rock thrush.
Great.
See the, I mean, nobody would believe, and somebody who doesn't know, of course, about birds would believe that these are the same birds, basically male and female, same species.
Yes.
And
Right.
I wanted to click them in the same frame, and they were in different planes, so I had to focus stack two images to get this final image. But
Right.
that is it. I mean, it's one of my favorite images from my Satal trip.
Beautiful.
That was, I think, in
Beautiful.
2018.
So, what is your most favorite genre of photography?
Uh, I would say as of now, it would be definitely Astro and long
Okay. Okay.
Astro and
Nice.
long exposure. Yeah.
Wow.
This is Chicham. This is
Hmm.
again an experience. I traveled, I think, this February and March. In fact, I came back from Spiti and the lockdown started. So I was
Great.
fortunate to make it back in time. In fact, make it to this place also, and it was an amazing experience for me. Like, we traveled to all parts of the world to see snow and etc. You must go to this particular place to see and believe that everything is white, covered in white. And again, I went there primarily for sighting the snow leopard, which I was fortunate to see. But I got the opportunity of shooting a few star trails as well. So this is right from the roof of the homestay that we were in. This is in the right in the middle of the Chicham village, and I could get the. This again is, I think, about 1.5 hours shoot. So what's amazing about this place is the amount of stars that you can see over there. You can see in the sky. Like 1 hour shoot is good enough to get a these frames where the star trails cover your entire background, your entire image sky.
Wow. Wow.
So,
Beautiful.
and there was one more guy with me, and both of us braved what about -20, if I'm not mistaken, to shoot these star trail images. And -20 is, I had no experience. I mean, I've gone from Hyderabad, where it was at that point of time, I think, around already 35, 36 degrees. And from there,
Wow.
-20, and our bones were, frozen to the core, actually. But then
Wow.
managed to get this particular shoot. And it's an amazing place for night sky. I mean, you have been there, so
Yeah.
actually have
Beautiful.
been on that particular area. So,
Beautiful.
oh, this is Turtuk. This is Turtuk in Ladakh. In fact, the northernmost village in India, and it
Right.
was under Pakistani occupation till 1971. And in 71, Indian forces wrestled it back from the Pakistanis. And again, another amazing place for night sky photography. And this particular image was, I think, Saurav would remember. I think I was with him during this particular trip. It was 100 meters from our place of stay.
Right. Right.
It's an amazing place. I mean, that night of course, Saurav and the rest of the gang had packed up, but I kept on shooting. I think I shot a couple of star trails after this
Right.
Milky Way image.
Right.
And I mean, you can see the colors there. This is a single exposure without a tracker, and it is unbelievable how clear and how colorful the Milky Way can appear in a place such as Turtuk. It is one of my favorite photographs, actually.
Yeah. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You have captured it really well.
This is
From Kashmir to Kerala.
Kashmir to Kerala. This was Theyyam, fire Theyyam in Kannur, and this is the the Theyyam god. This was just between his performances. He was just taking rest against this backdrop of the fire, and somebody was stoking that fire. Therefore, those you see those flakes coming up, and
Beautiful.
I just happened to be there, and so I said, okay, let me click this image.
Great. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay, this is again Prague. Now, this is from the other side of the Charles Bridge. Now, you see the earlier photograph, the Charles Bridge was on the right hand side. This
Right.
is Charles Bridge is on the left hand side. So it's basically I had crossed about a kilometer, upstream, and then found another place. And this was during the golden hour, basically in the evening, a long exposure of Prague, River Vltava, Charles Bridge, and
Beautiful.
basically it's a beautiful city.
Yeah.
This is Pangongso. Pangongso. But I mean, nobody would realize that this is Pangongso unless I tell them.
Right.
The
Right.
focus here was not the lake, like most of the Pangongso photographs are. The focus here was rainbow, and this is we had reached there in the afternoon, and as soon as we checked into the hotel, it started raining. It was all cloudy. It became all cloudy and it started raining, and we were so disappointed that we couldn't get the blue color of the water, because if it is cloudy, you don't get the blue color.
Right.
Then the rain, I think reduced a bit, and then we went to the shore and we saw this beautiful and bright and big rainbow. And so now this is, I said, okay, I couldn't get the whole rainbow in the frame because it was so big. Even with the panorama, it would have been very difficult to get that whole, and it wouldn't perhaps have given us that effect. So I found this particular stack of stones, which is very common in that particular area, because people put it up as a sign of harmony and balance. And I found this particular stack. It was quite a big stack, actually. And I said, okay, let me try out a composition like this. And the rainbow was really near. I mean, I almost felt that I could have walked into the rainbow, but then I thought, okay, let me first take a photograph.
I think this is the best rainbow I've ever seen in my whole life.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
but it is a nice.
Yeah. It was so huge.
I have a photograph of sort of no, not you can change over, but I have a photograph of you know you standing with the full arch of the rainbow.
Okay.
I think we are taking it from Leh Palace or somewhere.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, this is of course Gandhi Kota. This is the Jama Masjid in Gandhi Kota, and like I've been to this place a couple of times. In fact, the flyer that you had given, that publicity picture image that you had given, that
Yeah.
was Gandhi Kota. But that was the first time I had gone to Gandhi Kota. This was the second time. The first time I had gone, I intended to shoot with this particular structure. There's this temple, there's a mosque over there, and but I found that the mosque complex gets locked at around 9:30 in the evening, so I couldn't shoot. But second time when I went with another friend, and I found that they were not locking the gate any further anymore.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we spent almost, I think, 4 to 5 hours inside that particular complex, and this is from that entrance porch sort of a thing where this gateway is. Yeah, I shot one from inside. I got a normal start reel photo. I said, okay, let me take something with which frames this mosque as well as the start rail thing. So I shot it from inside this particular gateway gate complex sort of a thing, and that is why I got this old heritage sort of a structure, through this particular thing. Of course, you can see those inscriptions on the walls. That's so typical of our tourist places.
Right. Right.
Old and
So,
those things.
Shantanu, please tell us a little bit about what gear do you use?
Okay, I primarily use Nikon gears. I have a Nikon D850, and for the star trails, or I do generally wide field astrophotography. So I generally use either Samyang 14 f2.8, or I use the Tamron 1530 f2.8, and I generally try and shoot wide. That means 20 or lower, as far as both star trails as well as the Milky Way is concerned. And in addition to that, of course, tripod is mandatory. I use an intervalometer, and then I have a couple of other gadgets to help me out, like a screen magnifier, which helps me in sort of get a sharp focus of the stars. And if I am in a decent place where I can shoot undisturbed, then I generally carry my polar tracker for the Milky Way shoots, basically, which can track the Milky Way and give me longer than, maybe almost up to 3.5 minute exposures without the stars trailing.
Wow.
So that is primarily the gear that I use.
Yeah. And you use Nisi filters as well for your long exposures.
Yeah, for my long exposures, I use Nisi as well as Haida. I have
Okay.
you have both a 150 kit as well as the 100 kit. For 100 I generally use the Haida kit, and for the 150 I use the Nisi kit.
Okay. Great.
Okay, this is, I think, towards the beginning of my photography journey, serious photography journey. This was in a place called Uppalpadu,
Okay.
near Guntur. I think it's about 12 kilometers from Guntur. There is a small but an extremely impressive pelicanary. This place is about what, maybe about 300 meters by 300 meters, that sort of a place. It's a water body with small islands in between. And this place has perhaps thousands of pelicans, the spot-billed pelicans. So I came to know of this place, and I drove down to this particular place on my own. I was alone. And early morning, I reached there in the afternoon. Evening, I went, shot this particular thing, but I was not getting a decent angle. So next day morning, I went a little outside this pelicanary. There is another water body adjacent to this particular thing, where the pelicans were landing, and they are grabbing their food and taking off. And the sun was just rising. Here you can see to the right of the frame, particular this thing. And early morning, it was beautiful light, and this is perhaps one of the first images which many people liked on the social and on Facebook and a few of the photography clubs, etc. And yeah, I like this image quite a bit. It's these two pelicans, in tandem. Actually, one is taking off, the other one is landing.
Wow. Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful.
Okay, this is one of the long exposures that I did, but inspired, of course, by the Wanaka tree of New Zealand. This is not New Zealand. This is Cass Lake in Maharashtra. So This was in the evening. It was late in the evening. In fact, I had gone there to. It was a family trip. There was a friend with me also, and we had gone there to basically shoot the plateau full of flowers. Unfortunately, I mean, it was so cloudy and unimpressive in terms of the light on the flowers that we said, okay, let me go to the lake. And then, of course, as I carry my kit, filters, I use an ND filter here also. And so there's this just post monsoon, so a lot of water in the lake. And there was this tree which otherwise is actually on the bank was also flooded. So it was right in the middle of the water, this thing. So it reminded me of the Wanaka tree shot. I said, okay, let me just try
Right, right. Beautiful, beautiful. Wow, this is one of my favorite shot of yours.
This is Kalpa.
Right,
This is from the again rooftop of the hotel that we were in Kalpa, and
right,
such an amazing location for this hotel. Like the Kinnar Kailas range, I think surrounds this particular thing. So I mean, depending on which time of the year you go to, you will get the Milky Way in various orientations, the star trails in different orientations. And again, I think I shot late into the night for this particular thing. This is, I think, around 250 images of 40 seconds each, with one frame for the foreground. With I think this was Avinash in the,
mm,
if you remember, uh,
right, right.
he was
Yeah,
in the frame, and so this is one shot, and then that was finally merged with the stack of 250 to 70, I think, shots for the sky.
right, right,
So that you can see again the colors and the stars over there. I generally shoot at to get the colors in the stars. I shoot at f4. Like I don't shoot at f2.8
okay,
because at f2.8 the stars appear white. Basically, they are overexposed. So I generally shoot at f4 whenever I am at a dark place, so that of course if I shoot at f4 light place, it will become difficult. But in this particular case, f4, since the density of stars is pretty high over there, a lot of stars get captured, and I also get enough colors in the stars when I shoot at f4.
right.
This is Kaza, and
Right.
this was I think 4 hours shooting, 500 plus shots in this,
Wow.
with the Kaza monastery on the right, and of course the foreground had to be shot separately with a lesser exposure, because lots of lights and lots of vehicles passing through the road in front. But the sky is here is a shot of image, stack of 500 images shot.
Beautiful.
Because about 4.5 hours plus to shoot this particular image.
Beautiful. So you do have a lot of patience. That's what I've seen. So you are tireless all the time. So everybody gets tired, but not you. You would always stay.
That you love to do, you don't get tired.
Right, right,
Okay, this is key near the key monastery. Like again, this like we are fortunate that the entire evening it was cloudy, and this particular area or region was covered in clouds. So we never thought we would get a shot at the Milky Way over there. But then just for this brief period, the sky, for about half an hour or so in this particular direction, the sky cleared, and I could manage this particular shot from just behind the key monastery. And I think subsequently again there were clouds, and it got sort of cloudy, and we couldn't see the Milky Way very clearly. But then we turned our cameras and shot the star trails with the key monastery in the frame, the other side.
right, right. Beautiful. Yeah, this is the other shot.
This is key monastery. This one got a gold medal in some salon in Azerbaijan or something.
Oh, wow. Wow. Great. Congratulations.
So yeah, I like this particular image. Again, the foreground, Saurav will vouch for it, that the key monastery now is full of LED lights, and it's very difficult to shoot it at night because
Right.
it's always overexposed unless you take a for star trails. It's generally I shoot at nothing less than 35 or 40 seconds per frame. Now, for that amount of duration, the key monastery would just have been a white blur, nothing else.
Right. Right.
I think this particular foreground was about 4 seconds or something, and the rest was, I think, about 120 images stacked.
Beautiful. So, Shantanu, because you travel so much, please tell us a little bit about how you organize your images.
Okay, I generally, organize in terms of storage or
Yeah, storage and file organization. How you
I I
keep your files.
I keep my files stored in external hard disks. I have a couple of, not couple of, quite a few of them, and I store them with the name of the places that I visit.
Okay.
So, like I know Saurav had told me ki, you do it this way or don't change the names, but I find it convenient to store as per as then I can straight away know, okay, this particular image is from there, so it will be available in this particular folder. So I store the images in the by the names of the folders are named as per the places I visit. I generally first process and keep one particular storage for only my processed images, and I have a separate storage for my raw images, so that if subsequently sometime I need to reprocess or I need that image raw file for some reason, I know, okay, this particular hard disk has got a raw image as the raw image, and again I go to that particular folder and locate that particular file. And I do generally do backups, because you never
Okay.
know with this particular thing. So I have backup of the files that I have shot, and subsequently, I do also have a folder of my selected images, like the ones that I personally like and would like to show to people, or I send to salons for participation. So that's a separate folder altogether again.
Okay. So, all right.
Like Spiti, I have been twice. So I have written Spiti 2008 autumn and Spiti winter 2019 20 rather. So I have two separate folders. So that is how I store my images as well as the raw folders.
Okay. So typically, if you come back from a trip like this, from a 7 or 10 day trip, so you would have probably around 5,000 pictures, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, no, may not be, but because over a period of time, I actually click less images, in the sense that I just to give an example, like when I had first gone to Upalpadu, when I came back, I had about 200 GB of photographs.
Wow.
So it was like everything that the Pelicans were doing. But then, like if I go to a place now, I would, especially if I go to a place like Upalpadu again, I would at best have about 50 odd images, nothing more than that. So
Okay.
generally now I click selectively. It is only, I know some people might advise, no, click as many as you can. But I generally click frames that I finally feel that, yeah, this is something that I would like to share with people, with my, friends and family, and people who like to watch my photographs. It's only those frames that I click.
Okay. Okay.
If
Great.
every now and then, nobody can say that every frame that I click is watchable. I do click sometimes to some images, frames which I feel might work out. They may or may not eventually work out. But
Okay.
the number of photographs that I click now is definitely not very high. It's based
Okay.
on my perception that this would be a shareable or image.
Okay. So, I mean, maybe out of 100 pictures, how many do you think is shareable? The ones which you bring in?
Uh, 10.
Okay. So what do you do with the rest of the images?
Some I delete, some which
Okay.
I mean, it will be shameful for me if people watch this particular photograph, so I delete them. Otherwise, I keep them, I store them.
Okay. And do you get chance to go back to your pictures again and review them?
Lockdown has been a boon. I dug up quite a few images, especially some I did find some interesting Kalari Payattu images from 2018, which I dug out
Okay.
and found okay, now they're eminently shareable actually.
Great. Great. Great.
This is the Langsa Buddha that I was talking about, and
Right.
again you'll remember how windy and cloudy it was.
Yeah.
For a brief, I think half an hour period, this particular, the clouds cleared up from where the Milky Way was, and
Right.
shoot this Milky Way. And of course, I went to the other side also to try and shoot the star trails behind the Buddha statue. Uh,
Right.
but then after 30 images, again, the sky was overcast with clouds. But this is again one of my personal, liked frames. I like.
Absolutely. Very beautiful. And these are some places where miracles happen. You can see them right in front of you. So,
I have seen that whenever most of the places somehow at the right moment the clouds have dissipated. See the
right. Right.
this is the one I was talking about. This
Okay.
I had not processed initially. This I processed during lockdown. This is a Kalarippayattu, like this was the trip that I had taken to cover Theyyam, Kalarippayattu, and of course Kambala. So these are the three events that I, sort of wanted to cover during this particular thing. So this was in my one of my hard drives. I dug it out and processed it, and it turned out to be okay. I mean, I don't know. I think this is shareable.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Beautiful.
This is closer in home. This is there is a story behind this particular place.
Please tell us.
I okay. This is I will not name this particular place because I'm on on a public forum. I wouldn't like to say that I broke the rule. I did break the rule to click this particular photograph, so I will not name this particular place. But there were two other guys with me. I mean, I had done a recce of this particular place a week before we finally shot this image because it's very difficult to find a dark place near Hyderabad. In the near vicinity of Hyderabad. Either you have to go nearly 300, 400 kilometers. This is about within a 200-kilometer radius, less than 200 kilometers radius. And I had done a recce of this particular place a week before we finally shot this. And there were two other guys with me. And we went to this particular place. It was absolutely deserted. There was nobody. And we set up the entire thing, our gears, and we were planning to have our dinner and then start the shooting because I intended to shoot quite a few frames. Plus, the Milky Way was due to rise at around 1 o'clock in the morning. So I said, okay, let me finish the star trails before that. So as we had set up our gears and as we were trying to, we were having our dinner, we heard a lot of dogs barking. So maybe initially we thought, these dogs must be barking at us. We are disturbing their peace. Then we realized, no, they were looking a particular direction and barking. So then we were a little curious as to what it was. Then one of the guys said, "Sir, tiger," and
Oh my God.
quickly we got into the car, in my car, and closed our windows and switched on the car engine and switched on the headlights. And then we followed the direction in which these dogs were barking. And we went a little near to see what it was. Then we realized it wasn't a tiger, but then it was a bunch of wild boars. And
Okay.
though, let me tell you, wild boars are not very safe. I mean, they are also equally
They are
dangerous.
equally dangerous. Yeah.
But then tiger, creates that aura, that fear. So seeing that it wasn't a tiger, we were a little relieved, and we came back to our position, and then we shot this particular image. But
Okay.
this is one of the places in the vicinity of Hyderabad where you can get a relatively dark sky, actually.
Great. Great. Very nice.
Okay, this is Hanle. This is Hanle, and this is the most amazing sky place for night photography that I've ever seen. And of course, it's a beautiful place for otherwise also, like for landscape and for wildlife also. But for night sky, it is amazing because this if you see the description of the bottle scale on the internet, you will see that class 1 bottle sky is described by a place where the Milky Way core can cast a shadow on the ground
Wow.
if it is like moonless night or something.
Mm.
It's just few words for me, but when I went to Hanle, I saw it can actually do so. The sky is so bright that the Milky Way and the stars can actually cast your shadow on the ground. It's so bright,
Amazing.
so clear, and amazing place actually. And anybody who's a night sky enthusiast must visit this place. It has the world's second highest observatory also, and basically this is one of the telescopes. The base. This is the base camp of that particular observatory, and this is one of the telescopes of the observatory.
Right. Right. Beautiful. Yeah, of course, this is, I think, one of the best places I have ever been to for night skies.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
This is Chicham. This is Chicham. And,
Ah,
again, lovely dark sky and snowscape. Shot at I think around minus 25 degrees. And I really, I mean, after I came back, I couldn't feel my toes and fingers for about an hour or so, despite sitting near that oven or something. But the sky again is amazing. You can see the Milky Way. I have a full arch of the Milky Way also at this particular place. But again, an amazing. You can see the entire ground is snow covered.
beautiful. Absolutely.
This is Chalkewadi. This is one of the first Milky Way images that I had shot. This was in Chalkewadi where they have the windmill farms. And actually, I knew this place because I was at one point of time, stationed there. And though, of course, then at that point of time, I never went to this place. I came back, drove down 500 kilometers to go to this place and shoot this image. This was one of the, my earlier images of the Milky Way. And this particular Milky Way, like if the windmill was functional, then I couldn't have seen these blades. So I did go there early in the early part of the evening and located a windmill which was not functional so that I can shoot the blades clearly.
Okay. Okay.
Then when I
Mm.
went, I already had this frame in mind, and then went back at I think around 2 o'clock in the early morning to shoot this particular image.
Wow. Great.
This is Pangong So. This is
Yeah.
Pangong So, and there were this gentleman, this monk was he I think was from Thailand.
Thailand. Yeah. Yeah.
This place, so he was standing there and contemplating. He was just taking in the nature. So I think I titled this One with Nature. Yeah. Yeah. I think I can see that title over there, One with Nature. Yeah. And I mean, it is just a beautiful place. I mean, the first time you see Pangong, so you must say, wow. I mean, it just comes out automatically because I've never seen water so blue in my life. And
Right. Right.
it's a beautiful place and a beautiful lake for that matter. I don't know how long it will be with us. I hope next
Right.
got a visa.
Oh, I think by now the nature might have healed quite a lot.
Yeah.
This year, nobody is going there. So
I know. Yeah,
good for the lake.
that would be good. I mean, Yeah, less interference, less
Yeah.
interference. So,
But now interference from the Chinese.
yeah, temporarily.
Mm. Oh, beautiful.
This is nearer home, Pakhal, Lake Pakhal.
Mm.
This is what, less than 200 kilometers north of Hyderabad.
Right.
Pakhal is again another place where the first time I had gone there because there is a particular tree, single tree in the middle of the water. And again, the image of the Wanaka tree was in my mind when I saw this particular place somewhere on a YouTube or somewhere. And I said, I must go to this place and shoot this image. And so first time when I had gone there, I I got that particular shot of the tree, the long exposure and this particular hill behind. But unfortunately, I couldn't get a star trail. So next time round, I said I must go and click a star trail over there. Of course, this wasn't our primary destination. We had gone to the Bogota waterfalls, but unfortunately, Bogota waterfalls was dry by the time we reached there. So instantly, we decided, we'll change track, go to Pakhal and shoot. And I went to Pakhal, reached there in the evening, set up our gear, and I think we shot till 2:30 in the morning. This is, I think, mm, about 160 images of 1 minute each. I basically exposed it for 1 minute to get this smooth effect of the water because there was a lot of wind. So water movement was there. So like I couldn't get the reflection of the stars. But otherwise also like to smooth out this water, each frame was exposed for about 1 minute. So that means about 160 images of 1 minute each. So total 160, nearly 3 hours, more than 2.5 hours of shooting for this particular thing. So,
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. Great. So, guys, I hope you are enjoying Shantanu's pictures. They are absolutely mind blowing. I'm sure you agree with this. And so we'll continue this for another couple of minutes. So we have a few pictures more that we are going to see. And if you have any questions, you can just type in that comment box, and we are going to take them. And we keep doing these kind of events during the weekend, 6 p.m. and 4 p.m. So if you are interested, you can join in. You can subscribe to our channel. So there's a red button below on the right hand side bottom. You can just press that button to subscribe our channel. So let's continue again. Yeah, I absolutely love this shop, Santanu. Beautiful.
this one is one of my favorite as well. And this is Gandhi Kota. This is the
Right.
first time I had gone to Gandhi Kota. I was googling for a place, dark place near Hyderabad, and this place happens to have a class 3 bottle sky, which is the bare minimum for a Milky Way shoot. Though Milky Way was not, I didn't see the Milky Way at this particular shoot, but Star Trails again. It's a nice place. Only thing is that this particular structure that you see is there are quite a few of them over there, and they're been built, I think, for purpose of campers to go there. So you put your tent or camp over there, and you spend the night over there. People have bonfires and everything over there. But just behind this, there is a tourist resort coming up. And unfortunately, there are a lot of LED lights which have been put over there. So if you see this blue glow towards the bottom of the, yeah, immediately behind,
Right.
uh,
Right.
those are basically those LED lights. Now, I was not able to get a good frame from any angle. The lights were interfering, etc. And I was wondering what to do. Then I sort of walked down a few notches on this cliff. You see, this is basically the cliff that goes into the gorge. And there was a place to stand over there. And I looked up from there. I saw that the lights were no longer visible. The stars were quite decent. And this gazebo and the tent was looking pretty nice. So I put my camera over there. I mean, I couldn't keep on standing there because it's a very narrow particular ledge sort of a thing. So I put my camera there looking upward, and I think I shot about 250 frames, after which my battery died because I was shooting long exposures in the day also.
Okay.
And this gentleman you see in the picture is me, nobody else. So, like I was there. Again, it's been merged with the final image. So, yeah, this is
Very nice.
one of my personal favorites.
Beautiful.
Oh, this is Usman Sagar, Hyderabad, and like till now, people used to travel to LRK for sighting the peregrine falcon. But this year, the peregrine falcon decided to bless Hyderabad. And I think any birder or wildlife photographer worth his salt would have got amazing shots of this particular bird here, with kill, without kill. I mean,
Right. Right.
lot of people, because it was almost resident here, and there were quite I think about 2-3 of them, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken. And this particular image, of course, we saw. We like I February this year, I think we shot this image with a parrot kill, and this was towards the end. In fact, I was lucky to get a shot of this chap sort of tearing off the head of that particular parrot, and
Wow.
so I call that decapitation. But
Wow.
this was from about what 15 meters from that particular bird, and it was not bothered. It was not bothered. I mean, there were quite a few photographers lying on the ground, trying not to disturb it. But even if somebody moved, etc., this bird was not bothered. It and finished the entire, its kill, ate it, cleaned its beak, gave us enough opportunity to click these photographs, and then finally flew off.
Wow. Beautiful. Very nice. Oh, this is again one of my favorite picture of yours. Beautiful.
And the tree is full of fireflies. If you can see, they're slightly blurred because of
Right.
the long exposure or the move.
Right. Beautiful.
This tree was, it's amazing as to why they choose one particular tree and not all the trees in the vicinity. But then this particular tree was the one which they had selected, and I got this frame with the star trails behind this tree full of fireflies.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So how many shots was this one?
This was, if I'm not mistaken, just about 80 shots or so,
Okay. Okay.
because this was about an hour's shoot, and we were this was early morning almost. That means 3:34 in the morning, because
Okay.
we had been shooting whole night, and this was perhaps the last sort of frame that I shot. Last
Okay.
frames I shot.
Great.
This, of course, is Hunder.
Yeah.
This is this also is a place. This is again where I was with Saurav, and we were shooting this trails. We had, in fact, we went after dinner. The three of us who went, and we were shooting with the intention of shooting star trails. And this lighted building you see on the left edge is actually a restaurant over there. It was a lovely location. Actually, that was supposed to have been in my frame, in the almost in the center of my frame, with its reflection in the water, the stream which was flowing in front of it, and there was a tree by the side of it. And I started shooting that particular frame. And after I think about 25, 26 frames, the owner came and switched on all the lights,
Right. Right.
out my entire thing. So I went and requested him, ki, can you just give me an hour and a half, and just switch off the lights? But he wasn't very keen to do that. So then we shifted base, and I got this particular frame where I got the reflection of the mountain in the water, and then the stars and the clouds floating in. But I think we couldn't shoot for long because of the clouds also. As the
Right.
clouds moving in,
Right.
and they fill them up.
Yeah, but here I think the clouds really make the picture look very different and very interesting because
Yeah,
then,
there is another like cloud.
yeah.
Uh, Often, okay, I will. Sorry, I'll just take a little bit of time, because See, there is, if you see this particular image, you'll find at places the trails over the clouds.
Right.
Now, this, many people construe this as fraud because this is not. Now, what I would like to clarify is, see, what we do is we shoot multiple frames and then we stack them in a software. Now, what the software does is software basically creates a path between two known positions of the star that we have shot.
Right.
And even if a cloud floats in between, it still traces that line. So there will be that line. So it's not a fraud. It is a software generated trail image. And but the clouds do add a sort of a different dimension to this particular image. There's
Right.
another image, if you remember, of Turtuk, whereby it was shot on the other side of the Milky Way that we had shot.
Right. Right.
About because of the clouds, but whatever clouds floated in, it made that frame a little surreal. It's a different sort of an image.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, this was Tabo
Beautiful.
Monastery, and this was again. I think we shot pretty late into the night, and I shot quite a few frames actually. In the sense, quite a few compositions, three different compositions. This was one of them, and just prior to this, I had to request the head priest over there, head monk over there, to switch off, a light which was actually sort of burning out the frame.
Right.
And he did interview us to make sure that we were photographers, not anybody else.
Yeah.
Kindly agreed to sort of switch off the light, and that's why we could manage this particular frame.
Right. Beautiful. Yeah, this is the one.
I was talking about
Yeah.
Turtuk, the clouds floating in, and in fact, that's why we couldn't get the Milky Way rising from between these two mountains. If you remember, Saurabh,
Right. Right. Right.
because the clouds. But like this is again, I think about 60 odd shots images. That's why the trails are shorter. But I like it because of the clouds, creating a different sort of an aura in the middle of the.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And like how things work out. There was no light in the foreground, and at that point of time, I wasn't carrying any additional lights as well. But this reddish glow that you see is basically from the tail light of a Maruti, which was just passing by. It went towards my right of the frame and then turned into the frame, and thereby the trees got lit up. That is how the foreground was lit in this particular. No additional lights were used, and it was a dark place actually. There were no ambient lights as well.
Yeah. Santanu, sorry, there was a problem. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Please continue.
Yeah, so that is what I said was that the car which passed from behind me, the tail light of it gave this reddish glow on the stack of hay in front, and then the car moved into the frame, and they were lighting up the trees in front. So without any ambient light, also because of the car, my foreground got lit up nicely in this particular frame.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love the flowers in the foreground. Beautiful.
This is Hanle, and these are flowers in the field over there. And again, it's an amazing place, as I said. You must be there to believe it, how nice it is. The flowers were lit up with that red light of my headlamp, basically. That's why they are reddish. And the sky. This is I think about 45 minutes of shoot, and you can see, though the trails are short, the stars are so dense in the sky that your entire sky gets covered.
Beautiful. This is one of my favorite shots. This is just amazing.
And this is in fact the same place from where I shot the Milky Way as well. And
Right. Right.
so you see the entire snow-covered slopes the mountains. And I think there is a car that passes by, creating a trail sort of a thing on the left bottom corner of the frame. And the sky is again amazing. I mean, there's nothing to say. You can see for yourself the colors and the density of the stars over there. It's an amazing place. I mean, had it
Beautiful.
been less cold, I would have shot for 8 hours.
Mhm.
That was right up to the dawn, basically.
Wow. Beautiful.
Okay, this is seascape from Kannur. This is the same trip where I shot the Theyyam and the clarified 2 images.
Beautiful.
Exposure. This I had used a grad also, ND grad to uh, reduce the intensity of the sky. And I had I think this was a 6-stop ND.
Great.
Um, so I think those stones and the green moss on the stones, they create a nice impact on this particular area. And the
Beautiful.
sun was setting, and the moon also, you can see, was about to set on the sky.
Very nice.
This is again another composition from Tabo. We had taken
Right.
3. So this is one of those 3 compositions from Tabo. This is Oriental dwarf kingfisher. You'll see plenty of ODKF images on the website, but this is one of the images which is slightly different. This chap holding up his prey, as if thanking the
Definitely.
I
Very different.
thank you, Lord. He's thanking the Lord. Okay, thank you for the kill that you have given me. Yes.
Very interesting.
This is Turtuk. This is the second time I had gone to Turtuk. This one was shot. In fact, the one which I was talking about, where the car had, the tail light of the car had backlit, had lit the foreground,
Right.
was just opposite from almost the same place, but just the opposite side, the north, basically between these 2 mountains.
Beautiful.
This is Uma Maheshwaram. This is way near. I think how much? 110, 20 kilometers from here, not more than that. And
Right.
this is right on the plateau. Above the temple, you have to take a sort of there's no road per se, but you do a trek and climb onto the top. And it's reasonably dark, and you can get decent starter images. So this was shot there. In fact, somebody scared us. You'll find sloth bears over there. So one of the my partners who was accompanying me almost refused to climb up there. We managed to
Okay.
about 2.5 hours and then come back
Okay.
without sloth bear interfering with our shooting.
Wow.
This is Bhandardara, and this is that shot. Like the tree with fireflies. The Milky Way is behind, and I tried a zoom burst. That means zooming in from 15 to 30 mm, and thereby creating those trails in the stars. In fact, the brightest streak that you see is Jupiter.
Right. Right.
And the Milky Way is blurred behind. Of course, it will be because of the zoom. But
But you can still make it out. Yeah. Yeah.
again, it's one of my, I like this photograph.
Very nice. Very
The,
nice.
the fact,
Something different.
I think it won some Nightscaper award and uh,
Okay.
went to some thousands and thousands of likes. Because one of the comments that came with this is, this is different from those people holding out torches towards the Milky Way.
So which picture was that? There was a lot of controversy, I think, in the Himalayan club or in some place. I think the picture that you are showing.
In fact, this trail, the same position from the Milky Way. So I think I had posted that image in a site called the Himalayan Club,
Yeah.
and somebody said it's a fake. That, I mean, I tried to explain to that gentleman, but then he was. There's no point, trying to
Right.
turn non-believers into believers.
Right. Great. So it was amazing going through your pictures, Shantanu. I absolutely loved it, and see, we spent so much of time, and I didn't realize how time passed. So now I'm going to, yeah. Before we go through your pictures, I want to ask you one last question, Shantanu. That within a very short period of time, you have built a very good portfolio of pictures. So please tell us your secret on how you were able to achieve this.
Oh, I have, unlike many other people, I have plenty of time in the sense that I am not under any work pressure. I don't work, so I have plenty of time. And also, I don't have to create under pressure in the sense that it's not my livelihood, it's my passion. So, whatever time I have, I am basically studying about photography or watching photographs or shooting photographs. So that
Right.
way, I think, building up that knowledge about photography, about, how to go about things, about gear, about places. And of course, I love traveling. That
Right.
started off as a love of travel. So I do like to call myself four-wheeler rather than a traveler. Photo traveler, so four-wheeler.
Right. Great.
So yeah, that's how basically, because I love it, and it's I do spend a lot of time reading and watching and learning.
Great. Okay. So now we'll take a few questions. So Abhijit Tokekar, sir, he's also from the Air Force. So he's asking you, are you not clicking Indian Air Force pictures? It would have been great for Air Force to have some pictures from you.
If I'm not mistaken, Abhijit Tokekar is my senior, immediate senior in Air Force. But
Okay.
I haven't clicked aircraft images till now, and not because of anything else. It's personal preference. I have uh, branched into astro and long exposure, and every genre in photography has a different requires a different mindset, different camera gear, different sort of an approach. So maybe, since I have already decided early on that okay, these are the genres that interest me, I haven't tried the other genres too much. Like I don't go for big cats, tiger photography and lion photography. People are amazed. Why don't you do it? It's just that I've never felt like doing it. So it's a personal preference basically.
So how about Sukhoi with the star trails?
I would do anything. That would be amazing. Yeah.
Okay. So Pawan is asking which brand ND filter is best for long exposure?
It's a very difficult. It's a personal choice. People see it depends on your budget and your uh, inclination to spend time in post processing. If you buy a very expensive filter, it will not give you too much of a color cast, so you have to spend lesser time on post processing. If you buy a budget filter, it will definitely give you a color cast, and you'll have to spend a lot of time in the post processing to remove those casts. But again, it's up to the person who's clicking. It's a personal preference, and it also depends on your budget as to what you go. I personally use Nisi and Haida. Uh,
Okay.
that's it.
Right. So Vivek sir is asking, is the Bandadhara photo of star trails circular done by stacking or a single shot?
No,
I
stacking.
think it's a stacking. Yeah.
I don't shoot
Uh,
single images because if you something goes wrong, a dog walks into your frame or a car,
right.
your entire frame is spoiled. After
Right.
half an hour of shooting, you have to discard that particular frame. So it's multiple images stacked.
Right. So Dr. Nitin is asking, what was the most memorable, difficult shoot of yours that you can recollect?
Chicham, minus 25 degrees. It's very
Right.
it's difficult to keep standing there in that cold and shooting those frames, multiple frames, frame after frame for about 2 hours or so, 2.5 hours. It's very cold, and it was my first time in sub-zero temperature, so that was definitely the most difficult.
Okay. Great. So Vivek sir is again asking. So if composite, how many composites of how many shots?
Oh, it varies. It varies.
Yeah.
Like Bandara shot was, if I'm not mistaken, about 80 odd shots, 80 or
Right.
yeah,
Right.
100. But I have shot up to 700 shots also.
Right.
Last shot was 500 plus shots.
Right. So Amit is asking. Astrophotography requires going a lot to dark and deserted places. Did you ever feel that you are risking too much for a shot? When and when was the scariest moment you had such a shoot?
No, I haven't felt. Fortunately, my background is such that I don't get scared that easily. So
Right.
I have not really felt scared going to any dark place for that matter.
Right. So Pawan is asking which app is better for for astrophotography.
App, in the sense for planning, I suppose he's asking. See,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
very difficult to say. I personally use photo pills.
Photo pills. Yeah.
It's a lot of information, including
Absolutely.
a live map as well. So I use photo pills. But then photo pills is a paid app. I think there's photographers, ephemeras, and there are other software also, some free software as well, which are good
Right.
enough. Yeah.
Right. All right. So Ranjit is asking, what are your plans in the future? How about a documentary?
Not a documentary. I do intend to start. Sorry, don't hit me. I do intend to start a YouTube channel for on photography, basically.
Oh, that's awesome. Just let me know if you need any help. That's great. That's great.
I again, I'll turn to you when I need help.
Sure, sure. But I'm sure you will not have any time because you're always traveling. The moment everything opens, you're
Let
everywhere.
me see.
All right. So Abhijit sir is saying, do you take trips like Saurabh does, waiting to learn and shoot with you?
Oh, Saurav, I love to travel with Saurav and learn. Yeah, we can always definitely do trips together. I mean, it'll be fun to do photo trips. I'm always, game for photo trips.
So Shantanu is always ready, always, and because he's not in any full-time job, I think. I mean, the way he travels is makes me really jealous of him. Great. So great. It was such a great session, Shantanu. Thank you for sharing all your pictures and a little bit about how you took them. It was
I
absolutely
sort of
amazing.
finished my travels, and I could remember, I sort of traveled all over these places again, courtesy you.
Right. So great, great. So thank you so much for joining me today evening, and thank you so much all of you for joining us. And
Very
yeah,
much.
great. Thank you once again, Shantanu. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.